Well, good morning. Jim Sunderwirth from The Swing. We've been talking about Genesis 28 for quite a while, where God revealed to Jacob as he slept 50 miles away from home, 450 miles away from his destination. He slept on a rock and God gave him this vision. Okay, the ladder, ascending and descending angels, God at the top of the ladder. Now, here's the thing, that this was the conversion. Basically, the conversion, getting him started spiritually, Jacob. We all know the time when we became aware that there was a God and he was concerned and wanted to use us. And so yesterday we were talking about even God calling us, choosing us, and just our lives are such a miracle. My life is a miracle, and your life is a miracle. So there's three things I want you to get out of this before we move on, before we go on into Laban's homeland. And he finds a bride. Three things I want you to understand. In this passage of scripture, in the 28th chapter, you want to read the whole thing, you're going to find that God, number one, Jacob learned this thing, that God pursued him. You got to understand that. God is after you. You hath he quickened who were dead. So he makes you alive. So God pursued him. And number two, he understood that God was present at all times. God pursued him, and God was going to be present, be with him at all times. Now, this thing, in my life, I remember by myself, I was by myself as I was away from my home. I'd gone to college, I'd come out and got a trade. I was working in my trade by myself, living in a small apartment. And I remember when I had that encounter with God, I told you about it before, I had the encounter of God, and God began to speak to my heart and give me the desire to sing for his glory. He began to give me the desire, not just to sing, but to know him for his glory. First of all, you can't sing about someone you don't know. You can't sing a love story unless you're in love with that person, or you're just singing a song. I didn't want to just sing a song. I wanted to have a relationship with God and know. And when he revealed to me in my small apartment that he was going to be with me, he was going to be with me wherever I went. I lived in a small apartment, lived by myself. And every day I would get up and I would go to a place called Lottie's, which was a restaurant. And I remember the morning that I had made this commitment to Christ. I was getting ready to go to work, and I was walking into the little place called Lottie's. And as I walked in, as I sat down, I was no longer by myself. God was having breakfast with me. God was with me. And Lottie, who owned the place, I mean, we had, wherever I go, I know, I try to know people and be kind. And Lottie and she was a lady there that had owned it. She'd been in the community for years and years and years and years. And so she always knew when I was coming. I sat down, and she came over to me and she said, "You seem so happy today. You just seems like," I said, "Lottie," I said, "God's with me." I said, "I just feel his presence right here." I said, "I've just had a great experience with Jesus. And he's having breakfast with me today, and he's going to go to work with me today, and his Spirit's going to help me today. I'm not alone anymore." So he pursued me, and his presence was with me. And then, before we wrap this up, I just want to say one more thing. He was going to be my provider. You see, the secret to life with Christ is when he guides you, he provides for you. He made provision. Remember what he said? "I'll be with you. I will keep you. I will provide the way to bring you to the destination that I see you as becoming. And therefore, you know one thing for sure, I'll never leave you." It's a wonderful thing to realize that God's with you and he loves you. Jacob realized this. He was in a bad condition, but he said, "You know what? I know wherever I go from this moment on, as I leave this place I call Bethel now, the house of God, I know that I'm leaving the sacrifice, or I'm leaving my altar, and I'm going on. But God's not staying here. He's going to go with me and order my steps. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that his plan for my life is good, because he pursued me. And he said, I'm going to be with you, and I'm going to provide for you." Pursued me. He said, "I'm here, never to leave, and I'm going to provide." Well, I have to stand and say, or sit here in my swing today and say, it's true. It's true. God will pursue. He will be with you, and He will provide for you and live His life through you. What a thought. Well, time's up. See you tomorrow.